Okay, good afternoon, class. So today we're looking at finance, financial maths. Before the break, we got up until 12 point. This was 12.2, no? Right. So now we're going to look at inflation. Okay, sorry? This is 12.3. So we're on 12.4 now. And this was your homework most for today. Okay. So now we're looking at is this for exercise 12.4 now? Yes. 271. Okay, just hang on. It's 270. So inflation. So inflation is the average increase in cost of goods and services over a period of time. The rate of inflation is given as a percentage per annum. Okay, so with the prices of bread going up, eggs going up, all of those things is basically a result of inflation. Okay, and many other things factors into it, but inflation is calculated on a yearly basis, basically. Okay, but during the year it goes up and down, but it is worked out as an average over the year. Okay. Over the an annum which is considered as a year. So here, note in 1970, you could buy 2 liters of milk, a loaf of bread, and 6 bread rolls for less than R1. Okay. A small new car cost 1,900 Rand. But today that is your guys' allowance, no? For the month, some of you get more than 1,900 for the month. Okay. The main course of the restaurant of meat, chips, vegetables cost about 180. Okay. A monthly grocery shopping for a small family costs 50 Rand. Okay. Today you to get to school is more than 50 Rand. Not so and so on and so on. You take about 2 taxis and a bus. Okay. Some of you are paying more than 50 Rand to get to school and so on. Okay. So as time goes on, progresses, things become more expensive, and that is what we call this inflation. Okay. So you can use a compound interest formula to calculate the increase in price of goods and service if you know the average rate of inflation over the given period. Okay. South African government has a mandatory policy that attempt to keep inflation within the targeted range. If inflation is out of control, it could cause huge problems for the economy and the value of the currency become meaningless, as happened in some countries such as Zimbabwe over the last decade. Okay. So Zimbabwe, your R1 is probably in Zimbabwe dollars is going to be um, quite a lot. Okay. So some people, when the inflation went up, they needed to, if you want to do the exchange rate, you wanted to exchange money into Zim dollars, you get a wheelbarrow full of money. Okay. So because of inflation. All right. We can use a compound interest formula to calculate the expected increase in the cost of goods and services over the period of time using the average rate of inflation. The increase in cost is always calculated of the previous year's price. Because it's calculated on the previous year's price, That is why we use the compound interest formula. Okay? Therefore, works the same way as compound interest. Okay? Inflation does not only affect expensive items such as cars, houses, but also affect basic food, electricity, transport, etc. Inflation affects all of us in our daily life. Okay. So one day probably when you go buy a bread at the shop, 10 years from now, currently the bread is like 20 rand, 18 rand. Okay, relax, coffee. Looks like you go often to the shop. Are you the one that goes to the shop for the family? Yes, no, don't get upset. Enjoy it. Alright. One day when you send your kids to the shop, right? It will be 50 rand, she said. Okay. Or more. Alright. Or if there's a reverse in inflation, then it will be cheaper. Okay. That could also be the case. What about countries making so much, doing so much better? And then the inflation will be reversed. Okay. That is a sign that our economy is going down. Okay. People will be looking at the example. This example is on page. This one? 271. Alright. So a loaf of white bread at the local supermarket costs 9 rand 40 cents at the end of 2010. Okay. There you can see 13 years ago it was half its price. Okay. When I remember going to the shop for a loaf of bread, the bread was 190. 190. It's 10 times its price. Okay. So how much will how much will you be paying for a loaf of bread in 25 years time? Assume that the average rate of inflation for the next 25 years is 7% per annum. Alright. So let's look at the first case. So we said for inflation, which formula do we use? Compound. So A is equal to P into 1 plus I to the exponent. Alright. So this is going to give us P. The starting price was 940 into 1 plus I, which is 7%, so 0.07 to the exponent 25, since it's for 25 years. Alright, so 940 into 1 plus 0.07 to the exponent 25. Gives you 50 rand and 2 cents. 51 rand and 2 cents. It's approximately that. It won't be exactly that. So if you're looking at, say, 2010, we're now doing 2023. So how many years later was that? 13 years. So let's see how far off are we from that. Currently, we said we're paying for bread. She was passionate about it. She's paying 20 rand. No? And others about the rest of us is paying 18 rand. Right? So it's about 20. According to their calculation, it's 22 rand, 70 cents. Okay, you guys understand? All of this. Okay. It won't give you the exact amount. Okay, inflation is an average which you will be paying. You guys understand? Alright. Then it says, how much did a loaf of bread cost 25 years ago? Assuming that the average rate of inflation for the last 25 years was 10 rand and 80 cents. Okay. Let's leave that there. The color. Alright, so again, the inflation formula A is equal to P into 1 plus I to the exponent n. But they want to know the cost of the bread 25 years ago. So I'm actually working out the P value. Not so. So it's going to be 940 is equal to P into 1 plus 10.8%, so 0,1808 to the exponent 25. So how do I get P on its own? I divide it by the interest factor here. So 1 plus 0,108 to the exponent 5 both sides. 1 plus 0,108 to the exponent 25. No? So therefore P is equal to, so on our calculator now we put 940 over open brackets 1 plus 0.108 to the exponent 25. 70 cents. 72 cents. Okay. 72 cents for a local trade. Okay. But the money that you guys have at home, I don't even think you can make up at 72 cents. No? So you guys don't work with 20 cents, no? No. And 2 cents is definitely not. Okay. People, let's look at exercise 12.4. Okay, so 12.4, I don't know why I did number 2 only. Just give you a reason why. And this is on page 272. Oh, I think that's to do with the table there. There's a lot of the same calculation being done there. Okay, so that is why I didn't do number 1. But in number 2, so on 272, determine the estimated cost of a similar model small car at the end of 2020 if the average rate of inflation is expected at 6.45% per annum, assuming that the car cost says 97,200 at the end of 2010. So from 2010 to 2020, how many years is that? 10. So N is going to be 10 years. Not so. All right. The current cost of the car is 97,200. So is that your A value, your P value? Your starting point, your ending point? Your P value. Okay, starting point. Then your interest, this is your interest rate, not some. So to calculate your I is going to be a rate of 100, which is 6,45 over 100, which is equal to 0,6 and 0,0645. Okay. What formula do we use? Compound formula. So A is equal to P into 1 plus I to the exponent n. I write this formula down so often that I start memorizing the formula. Okay, the formulas are not given in the exam. Okay, so what's your P value? 97,200 into 1 plus I 0,0645 to the exponent. Alright, so that gives us 97,200 into 1 plus 0,0645 to the exponent 10. It's going to be 181,602, 96. Okay. Look at the B part of the question. Determine the estimated cost of a similar car at the end of 2020. The average rate of inflation was 23%, assuming the car is 97,200 at the end of 2010. So what's the difference between this? The inflation. Can you see that, people? That's the only difference here in calculation. So again, my formula A is equal to P into 1 plus I to the exponent n. So your P value is 97,200 into 1 plus I, which is 0,0645 23 plus 23 over 100, 0.23, the exponent 10. That gives us 770,000. Is that correct? That's a massive increase, no? 770,401, comma 96. Okay, we do the comparison here, as you can see. There's 181,000, so that's about 200,000 here, and that is went up. So there's a significant difference in the two values. Not so, as you can see, though. It's almost 600,000, just shy of 600,000 difference. Can you see? C says determine the estimate cost of a similar new car at the beginning of 1991. If the average rate of inflation from 1991 to 2001 was 8.6% per annum, assume that the cost of the car is 52,200 in 2001. Okay. So in other words, is this my A value or my P value? Your A value. Because that is the end of the time period that you can determine the estimate cost of a similar new car at the beginning of 1991. So in other words, I'm calculating my P value. So again, my formula, A is equal to P into 1 plus I to the N. For N is your number of years. It's 2001 minus 1991. How many years is that for? Also 10 years. You see that, people? So you want your A value, 52,000 Rand into equals P into 1 plus your interest rate is 8.6%, so 0.086, which is 8.6 over 100 to the exponent 10. How do we get P on its own? Divide by this product factor, so it's 1,086 to the exponent 10. So P value is going to give us 52,000 over 1.086 to the exponent 10. So it'll give you 22,787, comma. Okay, you guys understand? Okay, so that basically takes you into, there's no examples for exercise 12.5. So I'm just going to do the odd numbers here because it's still testing on the inflation. Okay. So in question exercise 12.5, and 12.5 is on page 273. Homework, I would like you guys to do that even on. Okay. Just let me know if you don't understand. Yes, Michael. Sorry? Forgotten? Okay, no problem. So the average rate of inflation over the last 10 years was 6.5% per annum. Okay. So what you can do is you can do the even numbers, you have a problem, you come back. Or you can redo everything, so the video will be online. I think I didn't do the recording of this last year, that's why I'm doing the extensive. Sorry about that. So the average rate of inflation over the last 10 years was 6.5%. The current price of a 2.5 packet of white sugar is 21 Rand and 50 cents. Calculate the expected price of sugar in 10 years' time if the rate of inflation continues at the same level. So what do we use? We use the formula A is equal to P into 1 plus I to the exponent. Since I want you to work out the expected price in 10 years' time, I'm calculating A. So what's your P value? 21,000 and 21.50 cents into 1 plus I, 6.5%, so 0,065 to the exponent 10 years. Alright, so that's going to give us 21.5 into 1.1 plus 0.6 plus 0.65 to the exponent 10. You 40 rand and 36 cents. Okay, let's look at B. B wants to know how much the 2.5 kilogram packet of sugar cost 10 years ago. So what am I calculating here? Calculating my P value now. Not so. So what is it? A is equal to P into 1 plus I, the exponent n. So your A value is 21.50 cents is equal to P into 1 plus I, which is 6.5%. So 0.065 to the exponent. So to get P on its own, I divide both sides by its product factoring. I divide both sides by 1.065 to the exponent n. 1.065 to the exponent. So that cancels. So P is equal to 21.5 over 1.065 to the exponent n. 11.45. 15 years ago, the same packet of sugar under this inflation rate would have cost 11 rand and 45 cents. You guys understand? Okay. Let's look at number 2. A can of carbonated soda drink, that's now your gas drinks, cost 6 rand and 10 cents at the end of 2010. How much is a can of Coke now? 11 rand.
Which one?
A can of Coke, 330 more. The normal thing.
Strawberry.
You always more expensive. Where you live? Alright, where I'm from, I think that we pay like 8 rand.
I stay home.
Okay. Okay, then again, I didn't drink Coke in a while. Okay, but anyway, a can of carbonated soft drink cost 6 rand 10 cents at the end of 2010. Calculate based on the rate of inflation of 8% per annum, the expected cost of a can of soft drinks at the end of 2015, 2020, and 2040. So it's at the end of 2010. Okay, so A is equal to P into 1 plus I to the exponent. What's your P value? 6 rand 10 cents into 1 plus. Your interest rate 8%. So 0.08 to the exponent 5. Let's work that out. So 6 rand 10 cents into 1 plus 0.08. So that's just 1.08 to the exponent 8.96. Why am I rounding off to 2 decimal places? Did I stop you, Mark?
Hi, Nabila Majid. Can you make your way to the reception, please? Sorry for my voice. That's Nabila Majid.
Okay, so the next one is going to be 6 and 10 cents into 1 plus 0.08 to the exponent. It is doing a much better job than I would have. Computer 30.17. You will agree with that? Let's look at C. So we in 2023 and you said you're paying how much? You said 12 rand. Okay. Ever said 12, we're close. You're the closest, according to this. Okay. And then in C, A is equal to 6.10 into 1 plus 0.08 to the exponent, 30 years. So you just change that to 30. 61 rand and 38 cents. Okay.
61.
A can of Coke here. 2014. If it carries on the way it does, you'll probably be a bit more than that. Alright. People, let's carry on. Number 5. Okay, number 5, please settle down. The table shows the average rate of inflation in 10-year intervals. If a 2-liter bottle of milk cost 17.50 cents at the beginning of 2010, use the table to calculate the cost of a 2-liter bottle of milk at the beginning of. So in this, I'm working in reverse now. Not so. So the formula here, of course, is A is equal to P into 1 plus I to the n. So what I'm going to do is, since I'm calculating P all the time, I'm just going to divide both sides by 1 plus I to the n straight away. Otherwise, it's a lot of calculations that I need to do. Okay. So P is also equal to A over 1 plus I to the n. Okay. For those of you using the MindAction series, you'll see they use the formula A is equal to P, and P is equal to A into 1 plus I to the minus n. Okay, that's also suffice. Both acceptable. Yes, I feel the same way. But just hang on. Right, so from at the beginning of 2010, so that is the rate of inflation numbers used. Not so. So your A value, which is 17.50 into 1 plus 0.065. And how many years is that? From 20 to 2000 to 2010? 10 years. So that's going to give us 1750 over 1 plus 0.065 to the exponent. 932. Okay. B. So now B is falling in this category here now. Can you see that? Even numbers. So let's look at the B. Now remember that is the amount at the end of this time period. Okay. So let's again for how many years this? 9 years. There is 10 years. So it's basically a 10-year period. It's 10 years. So in the 1990, 1991, 1992, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So it's 10 years. Okay. So that would simply be P is equal to A, which is now 932 cents over 1 plus 0.086 to the exponent 10. And that's going to be answer over 1 plus 0.086 to the exponent 10. 4n and 89, 4n and 9 6. You can see 10 years prior to that. Can you see what's happening? So now the formula now is again P is equal to 4n and 9 cents over 1 plus 0.149 or 6 sorry to the exponent 10. Yes, answer over 1.146 the exponent 10. 1,05. And then D, same story. P is equal to 1,05 over, now it's that right now. So it's 1 plus 0,1025 to the exponent 10. That gives us 0.39. So it's basically 39 cents Okay, do you guys understand? So with that, you should be able to do exercise 12.5, the even numbers. Okay, I will do that in the next video. People enjoy this every day. After class.